down here in Florida, and it's raining nuts and bolts. And when I say nuts and bolts, I literally mean drill presses. And what happened is this: when I moved from Germany back to Florida, I spent about 3 years looking for one of these King-Seeley drill presses here. Now, yeah, they were tempting me out there on eBay for an exorbitant amount of money, but I was looking locally, and I didn't want to pay the shipping, of course. So that's why I was doing that. And after about 3 years, I eventually ran across this one here, and it was in a dark, unviewable picture on Craigslist. And when I went to see it, it turned out mechanically to be in very good condition, other than the aesthetics. So I had to tear it down. And this is the one I did the video on the table counterweight and reduction pulley setup. Shortly after I found this drill press and went through it, I started finding King-Seeleys all over the place, albeit most of them were not at a very good price. And then one day, not too long ago, I was driving through a local neighborhood, and there were yard sales going on. And I don't usually pay attention to the yard sales, you know, the old children's clothes, you know, stuff from the kitchen, old magazines, you know, gym equipment that never worked out for people, that sort of thing. I don't bother. Interestingly enough, though, I saw the head of this Dunlap popping up through a pile of clothes on a table, and I recognized it even if I'm out at the road. So I stopped real quick and I walked in to take a look, and there was a teenage boy sitting there, and I pulled it out of the clothes and I said, "Hey, how much for this?" And he said, "I don't know, it's my dad's." I said, "Well, can you ask your dad?" So he looks down at his cell phone, and I don't know if he was talking to his dad on it, but he seemed to be texting or something. And he waits a minute and he looks up at me. He said, $10. I said, "Get out of here." And there's a motor with this. There's a motor with this. Okay, we're gonna put it on here in a second. It wouldn't balance on this table here with the motor, so I took it off. So I said, you know what? You can't go wrong for $10. Even if I have to part it out. So I threw it in the trunk, brought it home, and it sat for a while. And finally, the other day, I hooked the motor up to see if it actually worked, and lo and behold, it did. So I think probably we're just gonna go through it and make it a nice benchtop drill press. So let's do it. I just wanted to turn that on for y'all because honestly, it scares the heck out of me. I look at this wiring down here, and that is some nasty stuff. I tried to get those wires to go back together right there where the black tape is, and it was just crumbling. This motor, I don't know exactly what it is. It looks like it's been spray bombed with some black paint. So this motor is going to come off of here right away, because if you look down here, it's tilted so far back, or it's so far back on its adjustment here that the pegs are just sticking in at the ends, and it's unbalancing the whole drill press. I don't even know if maybe that motor is way too big for this drill press. Look at this down here. That's just crazy. So I'm going to take that off right now before we continue. Okay, so that motor, I just took it off. That motor feels like it weighs almost as much as the drill press. So get a look at it back here. It looks like this thing was used mainly for woodworking, and I like that it has the adjustable quill here, so you can set the amount of spring tension you want on your quill. This is always nice. I think that's one of the nicest features of these. The table here, if you look at the difference in tables between the newer Craftsman drill press, you can see there's quite a bit of difference in size here comparatively. So it looks like this handle's been messed up here. I think this handle is supposed to have some type of spring in it, and it looks like somebody's just created their own thing here. This is supposed to be a depth gauge right here, and that's going to have to get all cleaned up before it works. Combination depth gauge and stop all in one. That's a pretty cool design. So the newer one here doesn't have such a thing. The depth gauge is actually right here. So this is more of the Rockwell style, where it's just one square casting, where King-Seeley used the whole, what I would call a unibody construction. Like on a unibody car, they didn't need a frame with parts bolted onto it. Everything was built right into it. So reduced the total number of parts to tear it apart, made it very stiff, strong. So we're going to see what we can do with this. So I guess you can see the differences here. Cheap plastic switch on this, it broke off not too long after I purchased it, and I've got it glued and taped back on there. So, you know, there's a number of differences. All the knobs are plastic and stuff on the newer ones. I'm not sure about the Quill. This is new and it feels like it has about as much Quill movement as this in it, so we're going to take a look at that real quick here. What I want to do is just take a quick look at the tolerances on this. This is a machine perfectly round pin, and we're gonna insert the pin in here and just see how much runout we have. So we're going to use a best test, and this is tenths of thousandths. I want to see if we get a couple thousandths run out on here real quick, and I'm going to turn it from top side. So let's take a look here, and there's less than 1/10,000ths. That's amazing for a machine this age that's in the condition it looks. So I'm going to wiggle the Quill back and forth here, and we're getting, when I wiggle the Quill back and forth from the top side, we're getting, push on that a little bit harder, about 1/10,000ths. That's pretty stinking amazing. Let's move over to the Chinese one here. Okay, we're going to set up with pin on this side. Let's see what we get here. And lock it on there and zero it. Let's see what we get here. This drill press, by the way, has always done good by me, so it'll be interesting to see. Whoa, how's that possible? Maybe I don't have it in there tight enough. Really? Maybe I don't have that pin in there, right? Hang on. Okay, so this is the third time installing and removing and reinstalling this pin. I'm not too pleased with the results I'm getting, so I didn't know if maybe the pin was dirty or the chuck was dirty or something here. So we cleaned everything up. Let's try this again, because I have a hard time believing it's that far out. So let's try that again. Oh, 1,000. Ooh, that's 2, 3, 4 thousandths, 4.5 thousandths almost out on this. That, my friends, is amazing. I had always thought that this drill press turned really true and accurate for being an Asian made unit, but apparently I wasn't paying good enough attention to this thing. That's just sick. I can't believe that old Dunlap is half 1/10 of a thousandths, and this is this far out. That's insane. It could just be the chuck. I mean, that I don't think that's a quality chuck. Yeah, it doesn't even have a name brand on it. So, or it could be right in the Quill itself. I don't know. There is quite a bit of more Quill slop in this. I don't know if I showed you the Dunlop Quill slop, and this here, this does have a lot more Quill slop. So who knows? Things are actually looking up for that Dunlop now. So let's move on. Okay, so let's start by getting some of this junk out of here the way. This switch right here is not going to be on this. and I don't think it's an original switch by any means. So let's get this out of here. I guess somebody drilled their holes in this thing. I'm not even going to dignify putting this in the pan. I'm going to just run this over and put it in the scrap pile. It is a nice switch though. Let's get these out of here. These actually feel like they're cross-threaded in there. They don't feel like the right bolt. So that may end up needing some repair. We'll see. There we go. Looks like there's a bushing right here that rides on that is loose in there. We have to straighten that out. I have to keep stopping the video. My next door neighbor threw a bunch of junk out on his front lawn for the garbage people, and everybody and their brother stops by to paw through his stuff, and now half his garbage and junk is on my lawn, and now I've got people pulling up in my yard. There we go. That's the retaining pin right there. And that's what engages into the spring right here on the other side. Take this pointer off of here. And there's an Allen screw right here. The nice thing about these old American pieces of equipment is you know you're never going to have to dig into your metric stuff. Somebody obviously jacked this up at some point, because this is not original right here, the way this handle's in here. This pin's definitely bound up a little bit. There. And out she comes, just like that. So, that actually don't look too bad. I find it amazing how when I tear down a lot of this old American equipment, it's still really in very, very serviceable shape. That's definitely a lot heavier. It's a lot heavier build than that Chinese, and I do believe the steel's probably a lot better too. And I don't know if you can see it on here, there's a pin right here that goes through that holds the spring in place. So I don't even know if I'm going to bother to take that out. So there we go, just like that. That's the Quill. We're going to tear this apart too and take a look at it. I want to see how those bearings are, although they do actually feel really good. They're way smoother than the bearings in that 150 that I took apart. I had to replace the bearings in that 150. These feel almost like new. So, but we'll still take it apart and look at it and service it if need be. So here's something interesting. I noticed that this portion right here that slides through this bushing, and this just turns in a bushing. It doesn't have a bearing for that Quill. There's two flat spots on it that coincide to the pulley. So the pulley obviously mounts on there and holds this in place to spin, and then it spins inside this brass bushing down here. And I'm amazed at how tight the tolerance is in that. I'm gonna have to clean this up before I can push it through that bushing if I don't want to ruin that bushing, because right now it feels really tight. I'm getting no perceptible play in it. So I'm gonna clean that up real well before I try to take that out. So I think I'm gonna take the head off, and we'll go ahead and clean the head out before we do anything else to this, and finish taking this apart. All right, one King-Seeley Dunlap head. I'm gonna take this outside and put some of that organic, earth-friendly cleaning crap on it. Okay, let's see about getting the rest of this thing apart. Oh, it hits that rust, and I don't want to go. All right, and down to the last part now. There we go, just like that. And that's going to get cleaned up on the lathe. We want to make sure we don't lose that wedge. And this also goes outside. Okay, a little scrub-a-dub-dub. Okay, I guess we're not getting away from all the noise today. I put an Allen key, an old one, in the chuck here, and we're gonna chuck this into the vise. I want to loosen up the collar on this chuck before we go any further. So, got my lead hammer here, and there we go, just like that. And believe it or not, I didn't pre-loosen that in advance. Okay, so now I'll have to back that out. The old key actually worked in that pretty well. A little rust doesn't hurt it, I guess. And I'm just gonna put the end in here to hold it for me. Nothing else. There we go. Just like that. That end looks real nice. Okay, so we can go back over there and tear. Let's see here. Guess these can come off of here. Try to keep them in order. And turn this out. There we go. Guess we're not getting away from that background noise today, are we? These guys are just getting to be a real pain in my side. Boy, that came out nice and easy. Looks like there's brass bushing in there, but I I don't know if we can get that on the camera. It actually looks pretty darn good. The 150 had bearings in it, and this is just run with bushings. So, but with the little amount of runout I had on it, there's probably no need to replace those. So this teardown is basically just going to be a cleanup exercise, I guess. And then this, that's the thrust bearing. That's what that is. It sounds dry, but it's not binding. So there's no flat spots in there. So we'll clean that up and see if we can get some lube into it. So that's a good sign. And I guess that's just the collar at the base. I'm not even going to take that off. That's just a stop. So that's it. There's nothing to that quill. This here is going to be interesting because this is stripped off there and bound up. So I'm going to have to take that over on the... Well, let's try something. Oh, look at that. I don't know what kind of deal that was, but it's not going back together like that. That's gonna have to go in the evaporust. Aha. Look at that. Little disc in there. Little spring. Apparently there's supposed to be a flat spot, or that spring is supposed to put pressure on this handle to allow it to just slide into one spot and stay there. So, and that butts up against that pin that I showed you before. It goes right through there. So all this is going to have to get cleaned up real good. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, see, that was supposed to turn freely on there. That's why it had that. Alright, so let's get some parts cleaning going on here. I'm gonna get a jug of mineral spirits going and a jug of, here's my mineral spirits here. I poured a little bit in to start. I don't know how much I need. And we're just gonna set down the parts and the mineral spirits that need to be cleaned well. Oh, now that I see that thrust bearing, I can actually see inside it. I guess I'm gonna clean that too. That's separate, so I'll put all these over here. And that shaft I'll probably have to come out and turn over a couple of times. Okay, I'm gonna move all this over to the bench and then we'll get back on the head. Okay, these castings actually came out looking pretty good after I cleaned them up out there with that hippie stuff. So what I did notice was this piece that slides up and down in here has some dings right there, and that's not letting it slide through that bushing. So we're just going to clean that up a little bit. There's a little burr right there. It's driving me nuts. There we go. Just like that. And I'm going to go throw that in the mineral spirits as well. And I guess that just about does it for this. It's all torn down. I'm not going to bother to push that bushing out because I know that bushing is already giving me a real tight tolerance, but I am going to mic it. I want to just make sure that it's concentric all the way around, but we're out of time today, so we're not going to be able to do that. I just wanted to show you how nice the castings actually looked. You know, she's flash rusting on me real quick after I cleaned it, but look at the bottom sides of these things. They're still like new. It's almost a shame to do what I was going to do to these. The other thing I noticed is that when I cleaned it, somebody spray painted over all this, and when I cleaned it with the organic cleaning stuff, it took the paint right off. But I don't think it was the organic cleaning stuff. I think it was the actual spray paint that drew up the old paint. But I can tell that this is a 103, even though the rest of it's gone. So we're going to take all those out of there next time. One last thing we're going to do before we get done though. Yeah, since I'm running out of time here, I'm going to go ahead and coat this up with navel gel and wrap it up, and this will save me a little bit of work when I come back, because I'm going to clean this up on the lathe, you know, polish it out, make it nice. Hopefully. I might get lazy, who knows. But we're going to coat it up with some navel gel and then close it up, let it set, and then when we get back to it in a day or two, hopefully that rust just falls right off of there. And I'm going to go ahead and set that in the corner. Okay, I guess that about covers it for me today. Got my parts over here soaking in the evaporust and the mineral spirits, so I can come back in a day or two and clean those up. I got my castings out here all cleaned up, ready to be taken down and repainted. Y'all forgot to tell me to put the chuck in the evaporust, so I've got that in there going now. So when we come back, we're going to go ahead and clean up all these parts individually, paint it up, making it look nice, maybe make a couple modifications. We'll see. We'll see what we get to when we get there. So I hope you stick around for part 2 of this restoration. And again, from Florida, Don out.